So a lot of times we talk about why it's important to get a metabolic test done or a performance test done initially when you start training and then throughout your training season. This graph shows why. So the three metrics listed on here that we talk about a lot are VO2, which is your aerobic capacity, VLA max, which is that anaerobic or glycolytic capacity and power, along with your anaerobic threshold. So that threshold is where VO2 and VLA max, that aerobic and anaerobic system, basically meet, and that's a number and a metric that's very important to track. So as you can see here, winter training basically came to an end, and then you can see the training camps start to happen. So this red line is the VLA max, okay? So that's that anaerobic capacity. And with that anaerobic capacity, when you start doing more endurance training, you're going to see, right, that start to drop because you're starting to see more of that aerobic base being built. So that's good that that number starts to decrease. The blue line here, that's your aerobic capacity, VO2. You start to see that increase with specific training. So those two metrics can work like that. So that's the goal, is as you start doing more aerobic training, you're going to see your VO2 or that aerobic capacity climb with the VLA max start to drop because you're not utilizing that anaerobic system as much or as intently. Now, as you can see here, when you start doing that sprint training, okay, so with the sprint training, you're going to start to see that VLA max increase again, which is good because that's that anaerobic capacity. Okay. Now what's key, a lot of times when that starts to increase, sometimes we'll see that VO2 start to decrease. But what this athlete, the reason why we were tracking all these metrics is because we wanted to make sure that when the sprint season started, the VO2, that aerobic capacity, still climbed. A lot of times we start to see that drop as you start working on that VLA max. Another point of reference to make sure that we're noticing is that anaerobic threshold is still increasing. So we're getting faster. He's pushing more wattage as we go, which means these two metrics are working together appropriately. The training program is working appropriately. Sometimes what we'll find is that starts to decrease. One of these numbers is going out of whack, a little bit haywire, because the training plan isn't working as efficiently as possible, or the athlete is doing something incorrectly. So lastly, a great reason to get a test done throughout your training season is because when this athlete finished the race, took a lot of time off, we did another test and look at how much these metrics dropped. Now we know what needs to improve.